What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost and The Mandalorian Episode 2. Now, listen, it was still a well-produced movie, or a well-produced show, things like that. There were some good things, and I'll talk about the good things, but, a little early to maybe say the whole thing is trashed after this, but I do think that maybe it's looking like it's not this masterpiece that everyone claims or that everyone reacted to after that first episode. So let's get into it. Just so you know, spoiler warning if you haven't seen episode 2 yet, we are going to be talking about spoilers pretty much right away. So I want to first say the things that I liked about it. Again, it looks really good. The practical effects and all that, the shots are really good. The transitions are good. I like the music better this time. I think I'm getting a little used to the Mandalorian theme, which I didn't have an issue with in the first episode, but I think one piece of music really threw me off in particular in that first episode. Not so much with the second one. It was better. It's not the Star Wars we're used to, but this isn't a Star Wars we're used to, right? It's not the traditional movie setting. It's supposed to be about a bounty hunter. They want to go through this cowboy theme. That's fine. So that was good. There were parts I like Quill a little better in this one. But let's just get through the whole thing, and I'll tell you what I didn't like about it as we go through. Oh, I forgot to say this. I can't believe I forgot to say this. This show is only 28 minutes long. And you know what I think? I'm going to record this and put it in the beginning so that people know that. 28 minutes long. We thought we were getting hour-long episodes. What a joke. The first one's runtime was 39 minutes, but only 35 when you include the credits and everything. 35 minutes of actual screen time. This one was 32 minutes or 33 minutes and only 28 minutes of actual screen time. What a joke. It's so funny. We're going to get about maybe 5.5 hours of total runtime if it keeps up like this, which I don't think is what people thought we were getting from this 8. They were advertised as hour-long episodes. I swear I saw that. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to cut this out here and put it in the beginning. Now, when we start the episode, when we left off, he had just killed IG-11, and we have the baby Yoda species that is the bounty he needs to take back. And remember, in that first episode, he had to train how to ride this blurg to get to there, to get across the entire terrain of this planet. But this time, it starts with him walking back with the baby Yoda species. And I thought, well, that's strange. Maybe he's going back to his blurg, something. No, he walks the entire way back to his ship across the surface of this planet with no blurg, with no form of transportation that we were told was absolutely necessary for him to get to. So I complained about that a little in the first one, that it didn't make sense to me that he needed one of those blurgs, but it was told that he did. Well, clearly he didn't. So I don't know if that was a miscommunication between directors or what, but he didn't. Then he gets ambushed in this valley. There's a pretty cool little fight scene while he's protecting the baby Yoda species, gets ambushed and, takes them all out. And at the end, there's one that's running towards him, and you see him grab his rifle and actually shoot his rifle for the first time. And it's a disintegration weapon because you see the attacker just poof into dust right in front of the baby Yoda. So he saves him. I like that. I liked that was kind of just out of nowhere. You weren't sure that was a disintegration weapon or not, but it was. And he takes care of them. And you see that one of them had a fob, just like he had. You see a fob that's tracking them to that bounty. So it's established there that there are more people hunting for this bounty than just him and IG-11, which kind of explains some things that go on later. Now, he goes back to his ship, walking the whole way, no blurgs, and he sees that Jawas have ravaged his ship and torn a bunch of stuff out from the inside and are taking it into the sandcrawler. And instead of when you get close to him, he goes ahead and just takes his rifle out again and starts picking some of them off. And it's established that he needs cartridges to load, which was a pretty cool, interesting little thing. So after each shot, he needs to load a new cartridge in before he can shoot again. So it's a single shot, which will come into play later. And he takes a couple of Jawas out. You see them disintegrate and drop whatever they have. But most of them get in the sandcrawler and start escaping. He chases them down. It's a pretty cool looking scene of, it kind of reminds me a little of like Indiana Jones-esque action. You know, he's running along the sandcrawler, gets on top, and is climbing up it as he's kind of dodging things along the way. He does eventually make his way up. He uses his rope to climb the rest of the way up. And as soon as he gets on top, he gets shocked by the Jawas, just like we saw R2-D2 get shocked. And he, stiffens up and falls back and is done. So he wakes up, Sandcrawler's gone. Baby Yoda's still there because he has Baby Yoda, basically, Baby Yoda species. I don't want to say Baby Yoda. People got me trained to say this. It's not Yoda, it's Baby Yoda species until we know anymore. He has him, following him. He's tracked, he follows him around. He's got some kind of device on his wrist that controls the hovering cradle. So they go back to his ship. He looks at it, and it's just torn apart. He can't fly. What's he going to do? So he goes back to Quill. Quill says, I thought you were dead, whatever. He says, no, these Jawas took my ship. Quill convinces him to go talk to the Jawas, that he had just killed some of them, and then they ran away. They go, they meet up with the Jawas. The Jawas are uncertain but willing to trade because they're Jawas. But they won't trade with him because he has weapons. And Quill says, you need to put your weapons down. And the Mandalorian says, I'm a Mandalorian. My weapons are my religion. And then Quill says, well, you need to put them down if you want to trade. And then he's just like, okay. So I thought that was kind of dumb. Other than just to establish to people that didn't know that weapons are very important to Mandalorians, he gave up pretty easily if it's part of your religion. But they could have used a little more depth. So they could have used a little more dialogue. A lot of things, I think, they're trying to keep the dialogue sparse, do it very visual storytelling, but I would like some exploration on, maybe this character, and a little bit of character development, which we got almost zero of in this episode, in my opinion. So he basically talks to the Jawas. There's some funny parts, right, where they're talking back and forth in Jawa and translating. Essentially, they need him. He won't trade the bounty. He won't trade his Beskar armor, but they need an egg. So he goes to this cave in search of an egg, and he goes there. It's a pretty cool visual setting. Again, good visuals. He goes in this cave very slowly. It takes a really long time. He's searching for something, and then you see a light finally pass on a huge eye. Here's some blaster bolts, and all of a sudden Mandalorian comes flying out of the cave. And it is, I don't know, I haven't looked up, I just watched, I haven't looked up what species it is. It does look like some form of a reek maybe, but I would have to verify to actually tell you whether that's true. But it is a huge rhinoceros type creature. And he gets thrown out, the rhino creature. I'm going to look that up right now. Okay, so it says it resembles a reek, but it's an original creature called a mudhorn. Whatever that is. So, mudhorn. That's what it is. So, this creature, the Mandalorian grabs his rifle. This place is covered in mud, right? So he grabs his rifle and he goes to shoot it, and it won't fire. I think because the mud got in the mechanism, because this is like a cartridge-based firing system, so he can't fire. And the reek comes and just bashes him, and he goes flying. His armor protects him, but he goes flying. Then, since Baby Yoda is following along with him, because I get that. I heard some people complaining that they didn't think he would take the bounty, the Baby Yoda species, with him because he might get hurt. But in the end, he knows there's people coming after him. So it makes total sense to me that he would bring him with him, because if he dies, the baby dies. It doesn't really matter. So then it goes for him, and it's about to attack Baby Yoda species. And he's about to horn him. He's within inches of death, and the Mandalorian uses the control and swipes him to the side so he misses. That's very important to remember, that this little baby was within inches of being killed. They fight some more. He uses flamethrower. That doesn't quite work. He still keeps getting knocked around. Nothing is seemingly working. He pulls out this dagger that he's going to slice him with. But the Reek's charge. He's going to come on top of him. He's likely going to get killed even if he does get a shot off. And all of a sudden, you see the baby Yoda species, reach his arm out and close his eyes. And he stops it with the Force, lifts it in the air, This little baby Yoda species lifts a several ton animal, stops him in his tracks, and lifts him up in the air for like maybe 10 seconds or something, 15 seconds. And then he like passes out and it comes down. The Mandalorian stabs the thing. He kills the Reek, and then looks over at Baby Yoda species like, what happened? What an absolute joke. As somebody said, that's not how the Force works. And you're going to hear some people say that, oh, well, we've seen people do extreme things under duress like that. It was just a reaction, just saving the Mandalorian's life. He was about to be killed, 5 minutes before. He was within inches of being killed before the Mandalorian saved him. So why does he wait till this moment to suddenly reveal that his power level is actually over 9,000? It just doesn't make any sense. So again, this is what I personally think it is. I think that they are using this as a way to be like, hey, look, I mean, it happened right here. It's clear that people can have really ridiculous uses of the Force with no training whatsoever. So you guys shouldn't really be complaining about Rey. That's what I think this is. It's a cover for Rey. They are breaking so much of any kind of established lore, even in their own canon. It's clear that people do need training in order to use the Force in extreme ways like that. Passive uses of the Force and little tiny things like a baby. We did see in Dave Filoni's Clone Wars, babies levitating very small things inherently. Come on. This is a several ton animal. This is like lifting the X-Wing with no training whatsoever. That is what this is. And it just screams to me of a way to excuse Rey and Rey's power. That's all I'm saying. So that's what you're going to hear about a lot, I would expect, in the next few days. That was a joke. We all thought that this was going to be about a bounty hunter, about a Mandalorian. That's why we tuned in. That's what we thought we were getting. That's how it was presented. But this is going to be about the Force. This is going to get into Yoda's species. That's what's coming, guys. I'm just saying. That's what's coming. So anyway, he goes back, he retrieves the egg, gives it to the Jawas, who, they don't hatch or anything, they just break it open and eat it in some funny scene. Repairs his, with the help of Quill, repairs his ship. There's some pretty stiff dialogue where Mandalorian's talking to Quill, he says, I can't thank you enough. Please allow me to give you a portion of the reward. That was very like Ruby Rose-esque from like the Batwoman trailers. That's what it reminded me of. Very stiff acting. Like I said, there's not a lot of dialogue, not a lot to judge Pedro Pascal on as far as verbal acting. I would say that his body language and stuff has been pretty good overall, but this is not one of his better lines delivered. Quill says, "No, I have things to do here. Get out of here." So he fixes his ship and he takes off. There's still like a lot of confusion about what's going on with this Baby Yoda species, and it ends. 28 minutes of time flies by, and this episode is over. So I think I talked about my complaints a lot in there. 28-minute episode, a joke. This series is a quarter over now. 25% over. We have 6 episodes left. There was no character development in this episode whatsoever, other than maybe for Baby Yoda species a little bit, not for the Mandalorian, not for the main character. We're going to be delving into the Force. I think a lot of people just wanted a standalone series set in the Star Wars universe, but we're talking about stuff like, I've heard people talking about, is this the chosen one? Is this Baby Yoda species the chosen one? That's the kind of stuff we're now getting into with this series. Breaking your pretty clearly established canon about people needing training. You already did it with Rey, I suppose, but you tried to explain that away using Force downloading. But pretty clearly established lore about needing training. Despite what Freddie Prinze Jr. may say about you don't level up with the Force. Well, Padawan, Knight, and Masters, pretty clear levels, pretty clear tiers there, buddy. Despite what Dave Filoni may have told you. So when he lifted this animal, it was it's such an eye-rolling moment. As I've had many times in Disney Star Wars in the past 4 years, an eye-rolling moment. So this is definitely a downgrade from that first episode. That first episode builds stuff, leads some mystery, This is a side quest. The entire point of this episode is to show you what Yoda did. There's no character development for Mandalorian. They break some stuff just from the previous episode where he needed a blurrg. That's one of the reasons he needed it, to transit this planet, but he didn't need it to get back. Just not very good in my opinion. Definite downgrade. Definite sign of more things to come. And I don't. It's too early to say like, "Oh, I told you so," or that this is bad, or anything like that. Still well produced, just not right. This episode just wasn't right. I would give it maybe a 4.5 out of 10. I would say the last one I gave maybe a 6.5, right around there. This one 4.5 to 5. A sign of things to come. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you watch Mandalorian Episode 2 or Chapter 2? What did you think of it? Did you think that this Baby Yoda species lifting this reek was as ridiculous as I thought it was? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a special thank you to all my incredible patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to check me out on Twitter or Instagram, or send something to my P.O. box? All the links are in the description. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.